You clicked for the crash. You're in the right place. We're counting down 10 Pacific Northwest markets where the hype machine says bulletproof. But the numbers are whispering something else. Soft floors and thinner buyers. No wild promises. Just a clean, city-by-city breakdown of the pressure points. Here's the thing. The best case chatter out there is a 10% slide in 6 months. Best case. If that's the floor, what happens to people who bought at last year's peak? Stick around as we map the exact moments where inventory could outgrow demand, and what that means for you. Before we continue, hit subscribe so you never miss the latest updates. Number 1, Seattle, Washington. Seattle's got 6-figure hoodies everywhere, but open houses sound like a muted Slack ping. Why is the room so quiet? Because the buyer math went from stretch to nope fast, and the vibe is cautious, not YOLO. Here's the thing. Those big comp packages were built on stock and bonuses. At 7% plus mortgage rates, that paper wealth doesn't clear underwriting like it used to. Rate shock makes every jumbo feel heavier. The latte is still $6, but the monthly on a $1.2 million loan is a second car payment. And that's before taxes and insurance kick you in the shins. But here's the catch. Hiring freezes and recalibrations push vesting dates out. That means down payments get smaller at the exact moment, monthly payments get bigger. Luxury listings don't fly off the shelf. They marinate. You see the same townhome in Queen Anne week after week. Price adjusted. Still waiting on a comp that never shows. Take downtown condos. A glass box near South Lake Union sits. Lights off every night, while the suburbs quietly add listings. Not a flood. Just enough to stretch buyers thin. If you're choosing between a dues-heavy condo with special assessments lurking and a yard and shoreline, you hesitate. And sellers feel that pause. What do the numbers say? Months of supply in the mid to high tier ticks up, and days on market creep from blink and it's gone to we'll review offers next month. That's code for leverage shifting. Every extra week on market pressures list, prices and appraisals. One cut becomes the new comp. Local texture matters. HOA dues plus a surprise elevator repair? That nukes affordability. Commute trades aren't saving deals either. I-5 and 520 tolls plus parking erase the edge for buyers fishing for value. You do the math on gas and time, then rent longer. The real crack is the latter. Price-to-income gaps keep move-up buyers parked. No equity unlock, no chain reaction. That freezes throughput and inventory sticks where it hurts most. If the top tier softens, the mid-tier follows. Cascade risk. It's real. It's happening. Seattle's bulletproof brand looks scuffed when equity depends on stock charts, and buyers ghost at 7% plus. Sellers who list high meet silence. Sellers who priced a last spring chase the market down stair-step style. And if the flagship city is wobbling at the top end, wait till we step where budgets run tighter and spillover used to be the safety valve. Number 2, Tacoma, Washington. Tacoma rode Seattle's overflow like a wave. But here's the catch. The wave's flattening and the shoreline looks crowded. The old value prop, bigger yard, cuter craftsman, lower median home price still sounds good. But buyers run the numbers now, not the vibes. Let's break it down. Tacoma's affordability story leaned on commuter logic and charming stock. Cheaper entry, coffee on 6th Avenue, and a drive north if you needed it. Sounds like a plan, right? Then gas spikes, tolls stay annoying, and that mortgage payment at 7% laughs at your spreadsheet. Add in remote work pullbacks and badge-ins, and the commuter advantage stops feeling like a hack and starts feeling like a tax on your time. Entry-level buyers hit a wall first. Older roofs, knob and tube, sewer scopes that read like horror. Insurance quotes jump, especially for older homes, and the monthly gets tight. Lenders ask for credits. Sellers don't want to fund repairs. Buyers blink. That's where deals fall out, and it's happening more. So, here's the thing. The market's tells are subtle but loud. More listings show price cuts after 2 weekends. Starter home days on market stretch from quick flips to slow burns. You see inspection contingencies back in contracts, and more of them blow up over crawlspace drama or an electrical panel that predates Wi-Fi. It's not a crash headline, it's friction that stacks. Local texture? Stadium District? Proctor? Those cute streets that once sparked bidding wars are now getting appraisal gaps that don't pencil. The buyer says, "We'll do $15,000 over." The appraiser says, "Nope." And someone has to eat the difference. Often nobody does. Deals rewind, and that becomes the new rhythm. Rents cooling shave off the FOMO. If you can snag a decent 2-bedroom lease without the frenzy, you wait. That missing urgency drags the ladder. First rung slips, move-up sellers don't get their net, and that next purchase stalls. Inventory nudges higher, not a flood, but enough to test patience. Tacoma's premium to its own historical trend starts to show daylight when the demand valve closes. The math loses its Seattle tailwind and has to stand on local wages, older housing costs, and realistic appraisals. When that reality sets in, list prices stop flexing and start following. East of the mountains, the equation flips again. Different inflows, different risk, same calculator. Number 3, Spokane, Washington. Spokane got flooded by value hunters during the pandemic. Cheap flights, cheaper houses, and a backyard bigger than your Seattle studio. But here's the catch. Some of those buyers want exits now, and they're learning it's not as liquid on the way out. Let's set the stage. Spokane became the migration hotspot. Clean air pitch, river views, and that small city feel. Prices sprinted ahead of local incomes because remote paychecks and investor cash set the comps. Now the market's normalizing. Fewer bidding wars. More, let's see what happens after the weekend. Here's the thing. Remote workers are wobblier. Contracts end. Startups pause payroll. That flex money that justified a quick buy at a 3% rate isn't matching a 7% refi or a relocation. And investors? They're staring at slower rent growth and a little vacancy creep. You can raise rent $50, but not $200, not without a move out and an empty month. Fixer-uppers that used to pencil on napkins don't underwrite at today's rates. A 1970s ranch with a tired roof, aluminum wiring, and baseboard heat needs cash now. At 7% financing, the spread evaporates. The flip margin turns into a hobby. Follow the breadcrumbs. The investor share of purchases cools as rent-to-price ratios slip. When monthly rent can't touch the new mortgage, the buy box shrinks. Deals that looked great in 2021 feel like a gym membership you never use. Costly and guilt-inducing. Local texture matters. Snow is not just vibes, it's ice dams, plowing, and cracked driveways. Older housing stock means furnaces, windows, and sewer lines lining up like bills at the end of the month. Those CapEx spikes scare small landlords, and they don't bid with the same confidence. Signals are loud. Builders are back with rate buydowns, closing cost help, and quick move-in flags. New construction siphons attention from resale, especially for buyers who want predictable systems and warranties. That drags traffic away from lived-in listings with 90s tile and mystery stains. When investor demand cools, listings linger. Comps slide because sellers chase fewer, pickier buyers. One $10,000 price cut becomes 2, then 3, and neighbors copy it. Momentum reverses. Mini payoff. Spokane's rapid appreciation is fragile against a snapback to pre-2020 trend lines. The market has to clear on local wages and realistic rents, not pandemic-era enthusiasm. Back to the river, Vancouver's Portland-adjacent story has a twist. Number 4. Vancouver, Washington. No Oregon income tax on wages if you live in Vancouver. Cute loophole. But can it keep prices propped up when the monthly bill is ballooning? That's the question sellers don't want to ask and buyers can't ignore. Vancouver has been the safety valve for tax-averse buyers and Portland workers who want a backyard without Multnomah County's bite. Live north of the river, work south, keep more of your paycheck. It worked when rates were low and traffic felt survivable. Now the edge isn't sharp, it's dull and expensive. Here's the thing. If high-end demand across the river sputters, Vancouver's move-up ladder loses rungs. Fewer Portland buyers flexing for commas or Felida means fewer clean exits for Vancouver sellers trying to trade up. And that cross-border commute? At 7% plus rates, gas, tolls, parking, and time stack, like a second job you don't get paid for. Builders see the hesitation and pounce. New construction is everywhere. East Vancouver along 192nd, out toward Kamas. Plenty of quick move-ins. They throw rate buydowns, closing cost credits, and appliance packages like candy. That pressures every resale within a mile that still has 2008 tile and a roof flirting with replacement. You can track it in the corridors with cranes and model homes. More inventory, more reduced flags, more signs offering a 5-handle teaser if you use the in-house lender. Resales respond with $10,000 trims, then $20,000. Then a credit for carpet because buyers walk down the street and get a warranty and a lower payment. Local texture matters. HOA heavy subdivisions layer $80 to $150 a month on top of rising utilities and higher property taxes than buyers expect when they run the no income tax pitch. Your spreadsheet wins on wages and then loses on water, garbage, and that special assessment to repaint the fences. Let that sink in. Signals ripple fast. If a Portland employer cuts a team or downsizes office space, weekend showings in Clark County go thin. The pipeline narrows, fewer relocations, more locals swapping keys, which means smaller budgets and tighter appraisals. So the buyer pool compresses to Vancouver money buying Vancouver houses. The inbound arbitrage fades. If the tax advantage can't overpower a bigger monthly at today's rates, sellers don't negotiate from strength, they chase. Step down, new floor. Capital City time. A slower pace can still hide a demand crack. Number 5, Olympia, Washington. Steady state jobs should steady prices, right? That's the myth. Government paychecks feel like a safety net until you match them against a 7% mortgage and closing costs that hit like a subscription bundle you didn't mean to buy. Olympia leans government. Agencies, capital-adjacent offices, contractors. Stable, predictable, very HR. But here's the catch. Stability doesn't print new buyers. It just flattens the roller coaster. Affordability bands are tight, and inventory sticks right where those pay grades top out. You see it in the mid-5s to low 7s. Homes that used to clear with 2 salaries and a modest down now need concessions to move. Mid-tier listings hang. Buyers retreat to cheaper pockets, stretch for a townhouse, or rent another year and bank cash. That lone open house with 4 cars in the driveway? It's not demand. It's the same couple circling, coming back with a parent to sanity check the payment. So here's the thing. Months of supply diverges by price band. Sub 400s still churn when they're clean and priced right. Slide into the mid-tier and DOM grinds upward, week by week. Meanwhile, public sector wage growth trudges along at a pace that can't chase mortgage payment growth. A 2% raise loses to a rate that turned a normal payment into a mini car lease stacked on your housing. Local texture bites hard outside city limits. Septic inspections take time and money. Wells need flow tests and new pumps, and that cheerful as-is note turns into a $15,000 surprise. Rural roads, winter puddling, and mossy roofs add to the punch list. Deals die over drain fields and water quality, not drama, just costs. Signals are clear. Smaller investor presence means fewer all-cash white knights to bail out a wobbly listing. Seller concessions creep back in. Rate buy-downs, closing credits, appliance swaps. You'll hear use our preferred lender, which is code for we need your payment lower to make this comp work. Without a speculative bid, prices have to meet paychecks. Not last spring's fantasy. This pay period. List agents can stage, send, and post drone shots, but the pre-approval letter still calls the play. Mini payoff. Olympia's floor is the paycheck, not the listing agent's optimism. When the math snaps tight, the only way through is price, credit, or both. Now to the lightning rod. Portland's luxury stall is the domino everyone's watching. Number 6, Portland, Oregon. The rumor says luxury stagnation is the first domino. Portland might be the hand that tips it. High-end buyers ghost showings. Agents whisper soft launch. And those glossy West Hills photos? They're getting stale. Here's the thing. The top shelf paused. Price cuts creep in small bites at first. $25,000, then $50,000 because nobody wants to blink. Prestige neighborhoods stop printing fresh comps, and when the last strong sale ages out, every new list looks naked. No anchor, no urgency, just weekend tours and Monday silence. When top comps vanish, appraisals tighten through the whole stack. Lenders don't care about your kitchen mood board, they want numbers. Move-up sellers who plan to sell the bungalow and slide into a bigger Laurelhurst or Alameda spot lose throughput. One delayed appraisal jams the pipeline. The next buyer loses their contingency window. It stacks. What's weighing on demand? Safety and amenity vibes are mixed, block by block. Some corridors feel lively, others feel tired. Office return is lagging, so weekday energy downtown is thin. And taxes bite. Property taxes, income taxes, transfer costs. Death by 1,000 line items that turn a yes into a maybe. Research tells the same story without the drama. Luxury days on market are longer. The share of price cuts inches up. Appraisal gaps that used to get bridged by ego now stall deals. Office occupancy rates hover in the May zone, which keeps foot traffic lopsided and weakens the lunch hour market that props up nearby retail. Local texture adds weight. Corporate relocations are slower. Restaurants are rebounding, but foot traffic is uneven. Packed on Saturday, ghosted on Tuesday. The vibe is good food, softer wallets. Signals are flashing. Builders lean in with rate buydowns and design credits on the west side and in the close-in burbs. Resale sellers follow with concessions. Prepaids, closing cost help, a carpet allowance to keep a number on the flyer. Everyone is trying to fix the buyer's monthly because that's where deals live now. And then the chain reaction starts. Buyers recalibrate what worth it means. $1 million feels like $950. $950 feels like $9. Appraisers take notes. Agents adjust list strategies. The baseline slides. Mini payoff. When Portland's luxury stalls, it rewires the definition of value across the metro. Prices discover a new floor, and it's lower than last spring. University town vibes don't guarantee demand. Eugene's next. Number 7. Eugene, Oregon. Eugene used to sell itself with lifestyle and campus gravity. Trails, breweries, Saturday market, and football Saturdays that made open houses feel like tailgates. Now buyers ask harder questions. What's the monthly? How fast can I rent it? How long until that roof quits? Here's the thing. The market floated on university cycles and seasonal demand. Springs ran hot with new hires and grad students' parents, then a late summer mini rush before fall term. That rhythm kept prices buoyant even when the macro wobbled. But the rhythm isn't magic, it's a calendar. And calendars don't pay mortgages. Investors cooled on student rentals. Rents aren't sprinting, they're jogging. A lease that turned over every June with automatic hikes now renews flat or with tiny bumps. Vacancy near campus fills, but citywide softness hangs around the edges. You can still place a unit, sure, but you won't name any number you want. Meanwhile, maintenance bites harder. Old siding, wonky plumbing, and the classic Eugene Moss roof stack cost like an unwanted gym membership. Developers aren't dropping new cheap stock, so the lower end is older and fussy. First-time buyers walk into a 60s ranch and get greeted by a tired HVAC and a breaker panel that makes inspectors twitch. Insurance carriers notice and quotes climb. A roof that's probably fine becomes a funding condition. Deals die over $12,000 estimates that no one wants to eat. So here's the research-backed read without the spreadsheet vomit. Vacancy rates hug lower near the university core than across the city, but rent growth is slowing in both. Days on market for starter homes stretch when inspection reports land. Cancellations pop not because of drama, but because the crawl space looks like a science project. Local texture adds a twist. Short-term rental chatter and regulation whispers make side hustle math tighter. Hosts who counted on weekends and Ducks games are shaving forecasts or pivoting to 30-day stays. Lower revenue, higher wear, thinner margins, and when bigger neighbors soften, inbound push cools. If those exit markets aren't sending as many buyers, in-migration price pressure fades. Sellers feel it fast. The script changes from wait for fall rush to offer concessions now. Rate buydowns, closing credits, appliance swaps, the works, mini payoff. When Eugene's lifestyle premium runs headfirst into spreadsheet reality, demand thins and prices bend to wages, repairs, and underwriting. Salem, the quiet middle child, starts to show its cracks. Number 8. Salem, Oregon. Salem doesn't swing wildly until it does. That's the quiet trick. You think you're in a steady middle lane, then the lane closes and you're merging into traffic you did not price in. Here's the setup. State capital energy, median incomes that do the heavy lifting, and an affordability box that's tight enough to squeak. Wages set the ceiling. Pre-approvals echo it. Sellers can want more, but the letter from the lender keeps the room honest. Now the tension. Rate spikes shove the monthly beyond local wage growth. A 1% rate move can eat a whole raise. Buyers vanish at specific list bands like someone flipped a light switch. One price point still gets weekend buzz. 2 ticks higher and you're hosting open houses with free cookies and empty sign-in sheets. Let's develop it. Move-up chains freeze because the first sale doesn't net enough to bridge the gap. Sub $400,000 used to be arm wrestling at the kitchen island. Now those battles ease unless the place is turnkey. Over $500,000, it sits. Longer show cycles. More, we'll consider all offers language. The latter is missing rungs in the middle. Research-backed read without the spreadsheet migraine. Price band heat maps show hot and cold blocks, not broad demand. Months of supply rises faster above the median than below it. Wage growth lags the jump in principal and interest, so the payment line outruns the paycheck line. It's the real estate version of trying to beat a treadmill that keeps inching faster. Local texture stacks costs. That commute to Portland? With gas, time, and parking, it no longer pencils as a discount move. Add childcare, a second car, and the mortgage. And your budget says nope. Buyers who tried to make that math sing now rent closer to work or stay put another year. Signals pop fast. Sellers float aspirational pricing to test the market, then chase with $10,000 cuts and closing cost credits. Next month, same house, new number. Agents whisper, rate buy down available because the payment is the battleground. Each cut resets comps and neighboring tracks follow because appraisers don't care about your custom barn door. What closed last week writes the rules for this week. Mini payoff. Salem's steady market turns into musical chairs with fewer chairs each week. Ben's lifestyle premium meets a second home reality check. Number 9, Bend, Oregon. Bend was the Patagonia catalog in city form. Premiums soared, then rates showed up, and suddenly the puffer jacket field turned into a line item audit. You still get the mountain postcard, but the buy button now asks for a second income and a strong stomach. Here's the thing. Second homes and short-term rentals did the lifting. Out-of-state cash set comps like it was a sport. People paid for the vibe, ski days, river floats, brewery nights, and treated the mortgage like a season pass. That playbook breaks when money costs more. The discretionary buyer gets picky. The spreadsheet gets mean. Rate-sensitive vacation buyers step back first. They don't need to buy, they want to buy. Big difference. Short-term rental rules tighten at the edges and occupancy swings like a mood swing. Packed in July, slow in shoulder seasons. Revenue whipsaws scare the side hustle crowd. If you can't forecast bookings, you can't convince a lender or your partner. Luxury cabins linger. The ones with cedar everything, hot tubs, and a garage for toys. Stunning, sure. But HOA dues, snow removal, window maintenance, and a roof that hates ice turn the monthly carry into a second car payment, then a third. Pretty gets heavy fast when interest bites. Research-backed read without the stat dump. Second home mortgage volume trends lower when rates rise. High-tier days on market climb as the buyer pool narrows. STR occupancy and revenue pull back from peak season fantasies into real-world averages. Translation: speed becomes sludge at the top. Local texture: Bend breathes in seasons. Post-holidays, the listings pop like a New Year's resolution. Inventory looks fine in March and feels crowded by February because sellers wait for the snow to melt and buyers wait for the grass to green. Timing amplifies the wobble. Signals flash everywhere. Builders pitch buy-downs and closing credits at model homes off major corridors. Own for less than rent. Signs appear, and buyers test drive payments with the in-house lender. Resales that cling to last year's numbers start cracking. A $50,000 haircut here, a carpet credit there, and the anchoring breaks. When discretionary buyers pause, sellers learn the gap between pretty and priced. The listing photos look like a catalog. The offer looks like reality. That's the education. Mini payoff. Ben's premium compresses first, fast, and publicly. You'll see the cuts in the wild before you read about them. One more Oregon market where quiet streets hide leveraged roofs. Medford. Number 10. Medford, Oregon. Medford looks calm, the spreadsheets don't. On a Tuesday afternoon, you'll see quiet streets, tidy yards, and a for sale sign that's been there long enough to learn your name. Here's the setup. Retiree inflows and small investors swarmed modest ranches and mid-century splits during the frenzy. Cash or near-cash offers pushed prices because the houses were simple, rentable, and close to services. That demand wasn't flashy, but it was relentless, and it lifted everything 2 blocks deep. But here's the catch. Carrying costs woke up mean. Insurance premiums moved higher. Rate resets showed up on adjustable loans and HELOCs. and every underwriter now stares at wildfire risk like it's a red flag parade. Your monthly gets heavier before you even touch the principal. Tension shows in the rentals first. Demand softens at the margin. Tenants still show, but not at the peak rents investors penciled. Cash flow pro formas start snapping. The line that once read $400 positive now reads break even if nothing breaks, which is a fantasy with 90s roofs and original windows. Research-backed read without the stat dump. Carriers price higher for higher risk zones, so premiums trend up. Wildfire risk maps push some properties into tougher underwriting. Bigger deductibles, defensive space requirements, even policy non-renewals. Rent growth plateaus while expenses climb, so the cap rate you thought you bought dissolves on contact with reality. Local texture turns screws. Older roofs push insurance surcharges. Deferred maintenance, peeling paint, tired HVAC, brittle plumbing comes due at inspection. And contractor shortages slow everything. You can't close until the roof is fixed. The roofer is booked for 6 weeks. The buyer's rate lock expires in 4. Deals slip or die. Signals are on the price sheets. Reductions cluster in investor-heavy pockets where the same floor plan hits the market 3 times in 1 month. First cut, crickets. Second cut, a trickle. Third cut, now you're near the last real comp and still negotiating credits for gutters and a new panel. With fewer cash buyers, equity has to do more work, and it's tired. That dream of a smooth refi exit or a quick flip starts feeling like a treadmill on level 12. You can stay on it, sure, but you won't smile. Mini payoff. Medford's over-leveraged corners learn that liquidity isn't guaranteed when buyers get picky. That's the great unwinding in 10 stops. So here's the thing. If 10% in 6 months is the floor, the real risk is the chain reaction. Luxury stalls, mid-tier retrenches, entry-level loses oxygen. That's how markets reset. Quietly, then suddenly. Like this video so the algorithm thinks I'm important. Subscribe if you want the city-by-city data drops. And I want your move. Sell now or hold. Drop your play in the comments with listing or writing it out. Watch the inventory to income line. When it crosses, that's your timer. Rates matter, but runway matters more. You'll see it in price cuts before headlines catch up. Let that sink in.